webinar is now live. You're all set to go.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Carl Rubin, Chair of the Technology Advisory Board. This open meeting of the board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting does not require public comment, but will invite folks to ask questions. For this meeting, the board is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town website, identifying how the public may join. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. For Zoom meetings, please note this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Now, to confirm that we have a quorum of the board and that everyone can hear and be heard, I will call out the name of each member. Please respond that you are here, that you are here and can hear the meeting. Kevin Deitz.
Here.
Mike Mathias.
Here.
Carrie Hurwitz.
Here.
And I guess Matt is not on. Dave Davison.
I am here.
And Roger McDonald.
Here.
Okay, now the meeting ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do, permit me to cover some of the ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. As first order of business, I would ask for a motion that this meeting will continue at the next posted meeting of the board if a technical problem develops. Is there a motion?
Motion to do that.
Okay, we have a motion, a second.
Second.
Roll call of those. Yeah, roll call of those in favor. Carl, yes. Kevin?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Okay, we're all set now. So I guess I turn it over to Dave for this topic.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Back in October, I met with the committee to inform you that the town did approve an appropriation for us to replace our billing and collection software, and that we laid out a timeline for the replacement of the application. What we've been doing since we last met is we put together some working teams of employees with particular responsibilities that fall into 7 different categories. And the categories are general billing, motor vehicle excise tax billing, over-the-counter transactions, personal property tax billing, real estate tax billing, utility billing, and then archival of public records. We pulled together these working groups for the individuals to vet for the individuals to discuss what they like about the current applications that we have that have been in place for more than 3 decades, what they dislike about the current applications, what with a replacement product, what must we have in order to be able to do your work, and what would be nice to have. Those 7 teams were headed by a facilitator each team, and they've been meeting over the last several weeks. And I'm anticipating to get feedback from the teams in full at the end of January. Once that happens, we will develop our first draft of a scope of services that would be incorporated into the request for proposals that we are looking to issue in late February or early March. It's my hope that when that first draft is available, that I intend to submit the draft to all of you individually for you to review. And I would appreciate your comments both on the technical side as well as on issues that may have developed in the industry that would make points that we raise irrelevant, or points that we should have raised but did not raise. And then when I get back those comments, I intend to pull that together into a final draft, which then I'd appreciate the public feedback at your meeting that would be scheduled hopefully for the end of February. And that is where we are and what we've done since we've talked in October. And again, as I stated previously, and as I'm asking again, I look forward to taking all this very valuable free advice from the committee and the committee members. Okay.
How are the meetings been going? I mean, are people pretty excited about it, and they have a lot of feedback? How extensive do you think this thing will be, this document?
I'm anticipating that it will be extensive. They appreciate that if they fail to mention something, that may be something that wouldn't be provided from a bidder. So they're trying to be very thorough. We have as I said, a number of people that are involved in the process that some work directly with the function, others rely upon the application for incidental work or for data purposes. So we're getting different feedback. For example, motor vehicle excise. We have individuals clearly from the Treasurer Tax Collector's Office, because they're the ones that mail and collect the bills. But the assessing office, that we've had people participate, they're involved in terms of the abatement process. We have some individuals from the accounting office and from IT and the police department that are all participating because they have different perspectives relative to motor vehicle registration and excise tax. So with that, I'm in, and each of the other groups has an extensive, particularly in the area of general billing, which will affect general billing and over-the-counter transactions, will affect every single department in town and school. And so we have much broader group, a greater number of people representing representing many departments. So yes, I'm anticipating a lot of material, which we will try to be a little more concise prior to sending that first draft out to you all.
I'm sorry, what's an over the counter? Is that just sort of everything else that goes through, or is it?
That is my description for transactions that are a transaction on demand that would happen. For instance, if one was stopping in to purchase purchase pay for throw bags, you're turning over the cash, you're being handed a roll of bags, the pay to throw bags. It would be ideal if that could be entered into a centralized system. That would be the goal, rather than the very number of homegrown products that are out there, department by department, and how they track these transactions. And that certainly would be one of the feedback we'd take. If there's a better terminology than over the counter, then that certainly would be looking for that.
Okay, when's the kind of what's the timeline?
The timeline is still as previously discussed. The pulling together of the RFP and timing of release of it is still for early March, ideally by the second week of March. We would anticipate responses coming back between when we release it in March to the end of May, beginning of June. And then I would anticipate a evaluation of the proposals during the months of June, July, and August, with the hope of having a contract in place by the end of September, with the target date that the first major go live date, which should be the easiest of all the functions, is the excise billing, the one that I described to you, because the data all comes from a central location. That's the Registry of Motor Vehicles. It involves the least number of departments. 1 year isn't dependent upon the prior year history, because each bill is a standalone for each calendar year. So that is going to be the least complex of all the different modules that we will need to purchase. The goal still is that we would have property tax billing up and running by June of 2022, and then utility billing by January of 2023.
Okay. What are you looking, where are you looking? What's the first activity for the board to be involved in?
The first activity is your individual review of the draft request for proposals.
Okay.
And the feedback to help me tighten up the language, and particularly in the area of scope of services and what are industry practices and what are some safe harbor rules that we should have incorporated in our document to avoid any unnecessary problems dealing with the party that eventually is awarded a contract. The next step is, I would appreciate the committee members actually sitting in on the evaluation teams of the proposals, both as an outsider of not working with an application day to day. Certainly as a citizen who may actually have that type of bill that you have to pay, and the value you see being offered by the proposal that might be helpful to a user to the customer, that the taxpayer, the utility customer, in using the product to the extent that they have customer facing features. And then an assistance in terms of narrowing down the best applications for selection. So that's
the demos.
basically it. And as you can see, that will take up all of calendar year 2021.
No, that's, so when I guess this is going to be a question for Roger. When you want us to review the RFP, is it possible we can do it in a collaborative effort, so we're not passing around an RFP and you're getting 5 copies with 5 different comments from the board, so that we put it on Google Docs or something like that? Is it possible to do that, Roger?
We don't have a Google Docs accounts. We use Teams, and unfortunately with Teams, you can't bring in, with our current licensing, we can't bring in non-town employees. So you have to have the domain that we use. If someone else, if another member of the board has the ability to set up Google Docs and use that's fine. We could certainly share things that way. I mean, we could share things through the town's RFP site that we have, and see our share file that we have. And but you're right, you're going to be overwriting things that people have already seen and all that. So it's not like one continuous document. So
Right. My next question is really, first of all, is it okay that the 5 of us have the document? There's nothing wrong with us passing it around or putting it on a shareable Google Docs. There's nothing legal. That's what I'm questioning.
No, that will not be a difficulty, because it's not, this is individual efforts. This is not a committee action. It's soliciting your free advice.
Got it.
And
That's why I'm asking, because I've got Google Docs, so I can set it up easily on my personal account.
Okay.
For us, I guess, Mike, Kevin, Kerry, any comments on that? I mean, it seems like the best way to do it, right?
I do Google everything. That makes my life easier.
Same.
Yeah, so, and I think that we could have a meeting, as we're going through the document, to comments to come up to brainstorm too. I think that would help also.
And then again, the other thing to alleviate any concerns is, I'll take all your feedback and marks up, but I'm the one that actually produces the final document. So, and that's
Right.
the document that will get released and become the public document going forward.
And
Correct.
Dave, it sounds like you want our advice as both residents who will be using it as well as technology folks. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to cover all the bases.
That'll work.
Yes.
Yeah, this is kind of funny. This is one of those areas where we actually do interact with this part of all the systems in the town. We're all consumers of it as well as the tech side.
Yep.
Any other comments from members or questions? Roger, can I ask of the citizens who are attending if they have any questions or would want to speak?
hang on one second. I can see if anybody wants to raise their hand. Yeah, there's the option to raise hand.
Okay.
They can do that if they'd like, if you want them to. Hang on, let's see. Keith LaFace, I'm going to allow to talk.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me join this meeting, and I'm interested in hearing being a citizen who uses all the service, like you mentioned, I think it's a great idea to get the round feedback of how the system's going to be used. I'm interested.
Okay. And Dave, it's okay if we shared it with citizens or not, or I'm asking.
Yeah, again, because the final product I have to mark up, but certainly different
Okay.
perspectives. The one thing that would be important is, of course, not to share it with anybody that potentially could be a bidder.
Right, understood. Okay, so Keith and Kim, we would be able to share this with you, the Google Docs site, so that you could view it and send us your comments. I guess that's the easiest way. Any other comments from the participants? Okay, Kim.
Kimberly, yep.
I just wanted to say, sounds good. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think we've got a process for the first step. I guess I'm, project based, so I'm looking at what the next step is, and that's it, and not looking beyond that, Dave.
Yep.
One piece at a time. So we'll be waiting to see the first draft, and then we'll set it up and try to coordinate the team getting through and making sure I get my Google Docs working right. I do not use it every day.
I'm sure it'll work well.
Yeah, I'm assuming, yeah, I'd set it up with a password and everything. So that's more of my issue rather than just the standard posting of it. Okay. Any other comments? Any other topics?
Roger, did you want to mention anything that potentially might be on the annual town meeting warrant?
I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything that's out of the ordinary. We're the only two things that are there this year are it's mobile replacements for public safety, and what was the second one? It was public safety mobile devices, and we were the only thing that we had that's on there. And I don't know, Dave, we had talked about this. It had initially been capital, but it may end up being a financial warrant. Had that been changed yet, Dave?
That's possible. The list will be updated in another week.
Yeah. So we're asking for $75,000 to deal with town, network, internet control, analysis, and reporting. So I hate to use this word, but something very similar to SolarWinds, but not SolarWinds. So since we all know what happened with SolarWinds, but something very similar to that, where we would have something monitoring and managing our network, looking at what was coming in and out of the network, analyzing who was actually on the network, plugged in, what devices were there, just more layers of security is really sort of what we're looking at. So that's kind of how we haven't really quite decided. We initially talked about SolarWinds, but we're not using SolarWinds anymore. So
Yeah, I think you're toast.
So
I thought it was, don't take this the wrong way. It was a brilliant way to break in. Don't break in. Just break into the software company that everyone uses and put your object there.
yeah.
Much easier.
So that's really the only those two options, those two
Yeah.
items are the only thing that we're asking for at the town meeting this year. So again, it's really just about replacement of hardware and, again, more security. So that's kind of what we've been. That's really what that side on us is a lot of what we've been concentrating on in the back end administration. A lot of that.
Sounds good. Any comments from the board? Can't have enough security review, I guess.
That's what they say. So
Yeah.
we're looking for more too. There's actually been some grant programs, some free options through the state that for companies to do some security analysis. There's also some more training by Maya which is the town's insurance, which is more geared towards the end user, trying to get involved in more with that. But there's also some, again, some analytical projects we're working on through the state where we're going to try and have them sort of look at our network, see what's there, see if they can. I don't know if it's really they'd be trying to hack in, but at least look and see what's there as our layers of security from the front to the back. So
Is this additional? I mean, what do we have now?
right now, yeah, we have we have a lot of stuff. We have Barracuda's bringing in. We have Aruba network switching. We have Bitdefender on a lot of our on all of our network devices. We use a lot of IP addressing between switches where we limit even in between buildings. We've done that specifically with the new public safety building. We've limited the IP addressing and flow of the network in and out, which is one of our projects, little long term, over the next probably 3 years or 4 years, is really starting to even parse out the individual buildings and how the communications travel between the buildings. But we have a pretty robust network security at this point in time. So, but the most recent thing that we've added has been the Barracuda Essentials, which is acting in two capacities. It's also not as only looking at our email as our email passes through, but it's also acting as a secondary archive for our email as well. So that's been very helpful.
So what prompted this then?
Just more questions and more demand for security. Every year we hear more and more things about what is going on out in the world there, and so we get a lot of questions from FinCom, and they ask every year about what we're doing for security, and we just continue to add on, and just with our pretty conservative outlook on security, and with our support specifically of public safety, and we support 100% public safety, and they have several different avenues out through other internet providers and other internet lines, and so we're just trying to make sure that all that is safe as well. So that's where a lot of it is driven from, and just we're trying not to be in the news for malware, ransomware, all that kind of stuff, which still continues to happen. And I think what's going to be more important as we move forward with this is really, again, continued end user training is really sort of where this is all coming from. And again, the network manager for the town is very conservative when it comes to hyper conservative when it comes to security, and we don't really want to get ourselves in trouble in any way. So we try hard. We know places like TJX can get hacked, so we try. Big companies get hacked all the time, but we're just trying to do the best that we can. So that's really where it came from.
Is this where we try to just be better than all the other towns so that they go to them instead of us?
Exactly. Exactly. So, and I think we've we did have an analysis by one of our by a vendor who sort of looked at our network and looked at our securities and gave us a pretty high ranking for local communities, up and down 95. And I think I would, we might, like everybody, you're sort of lacking in some things and do better in others. But I think, security wise, I think we're right up there as, a pretty good community when it comes to that.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, you're the infrastructure guy.
I'm not really an infrastructure guy, or an app guy. So I'm not the one thing I'm not is a network guy.
Yeah,
So
I know. It's different. Okay. Anything else?
Not for me.
Okay. Dave, if there's nothing else, we'll set up to close the meeting.
Yep, I think the next meeting at the end of February is going to be a little longer than this one.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And when
It's
you-
not during the school break, right? If there is even a school break, we have it planned.
I think, I don't know if this is a school break or not.
Well, there's a February break.
I think there is, and
Yeah,
Right now there is,
right.
but I would be thinking the week after.
okay.
Okay, it is when you're going to have the first draft to us?
I will have a better sense and I'll shoot you an email after that group meeting I have, the internal group meeting on the 25th.
Okay. Okay,
25th of January.
motion to adjourn the meeting?
Second the motion.
Okay, we go roll call. Carl, yes. Kevin,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, including our citizen attendees.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Yeah.